Hi, I'm Chris Fennimore, and welcome to the first program in our new weekly QED Cooks series.
A little bit of me and a whole lot of you. Add a dash of starlight and a dozen roses too. Then let it rise for 100 years or two. And that's a recipe for making love. It doesn't need sugar, cause it's already sweet. It doesn't need an oven, cause it's got a lot of heat. Just add a dash of kisses to make it all complete. And that's a recipe for making love.
Oh, and that's a recipe for making love, isn't it?
It is, whether it's with you or Patrizio.
That's right. When Patrizio came in the studio, I got to tell you, I knew where I stood in the pecking order right there, you know. So anyway, I'm Chris Fennimore.
And I'm Nancy Polinsky.
And we have been for, well,
for years.
But together on QED Cooks, it's been 25 years, and it's almost to the day.
Really?
Actually,
Oh,
25
my
years
goodness.
ago when we went into Studio A, not this beautiful kitchen, we went into Studio A and we made believe that we cooked some zucchini and we told stories. Nancy was reading letters from everybody. And that was actually the reason why we did this cooking show. Not that the world needed a cooking show. We had Julia Child, we had Jeff Smith, the Frugal Gourmet, and by the way, there was no cable television.
No, that was, you say we didn't need a cooking show, but you just listed about the only cooking shows that were on the air at the time.
Right. But the difference was that when we read the recipes, they were all about family. They were all the recipes were named for their Aunt Margaret and their Uncle Harry, and they they all talked about the very special times that they had sharing these dishes. And I said, you know, these aren't recipes. They're family stories. They are ways that people have shared their common experience, and people, you have all been so generous to share your recipes over the course of these 25 years. About 10,000 recipes have come in over the course of that time. 700 of you have come on the program.
No,
and,
I didn't know
yes,
that.
And shared your recipes with your friends and neighbors. We have gathered together. You know, this is so hard. They said to me, pick a couple of the best recipes from every one of the shows, and that's what we've done.
That's
and
impossible.
I know, but this is the biggest cookbook we have ever put together, and the pride and joy for me is that at the very end of this book, what we've included is the name of every single person who has ever come on this program.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, if you've come on, or if you know somebody who's come on,
There they are.
There they are.
Names, pages of names.
You're going to want to have a copy of this because, and you all deserve it. It's been a treat to cook with you and learn from all of you. I know I'm a much better cook than I was 25 years ago.
Oh, hello! I went from 0 to 2 thanks to this show.
Yeah. Well, well, and what I want to do now is Rich Capaldi did a terrific job, and he put together some little clip things. And here's the one of you and I over the course of the years. So have a look at Chris and Nancy in the kitchen.
Am I going to want to see this?
Yeah, no.
Watch closely.
I have no idea what he's going to do.
If you're going to make your own pound cake, you're going to make your own custard.
That's okay. I don't need 3 pages of instructions for me to feel like I cooked.
This will be the first time I've ever seen Chris Fennimore make something that doesn't have garlic and basil in it.
It is called pasta con cucuts.
So,
Yeah,
more
it's-
slowly?
yeah, it's-
No, you've had it. I've had it.
You've had it. That
You're like-
smells delicious.
Thank you. Oh, really, I can't cook.
No.
You never cease to amaze me.
I can't tell you how many times I've had this French toast. I've taught him something.
Oh, yes, important.
How does this work? We don't have a lot of time left. You know him as one of my best friends, and you know, no cooking marathon is complete without Chris Fennimore, chef extraordinaire.
Hi.
Hi.
We're going to do meat today.
Oh.
Thank you. What memories, Nancy?
All right, we're going to need to rename this show 25 pounds ago. I've been eating too many of these recipes.
Do you know, I calculated it. It is exactly, for me, 1 pound a year from for the 25 years that we've been doing this show. It's really it's phenomenal what happened. But it was all worth it.
It was. Every
so,
morsel, every bite was delicious.
and I want to, we don't want to just talk and be nostalgic. I want to cook.
Okay, that's another pound.
So one of the recipes that over the course of the years, everybody that I run into goes, yeah, I love the show, but what I really love is that cream cheese pound cake that your mom came on and made. So let's pull the stuff over here and make a little bit.
Just yesterday, Chris, just yesterday, I was on the street. Somebody recognized me,
Yeah.
stopped, said how much she loves watching the cooking shows, and said to me, "We make your mother's pound cake. It's our favorite cake in the family." So that pound cake just lives on and on and on.
And it's the simplest thing. What are there, 6 ingredients in here,
Yep.
including like it's 3 sticks of butter.
This is the primary ingredient, and this is why everybody loves it.
Right. I'm going to plug this in because we got to start creaming the. This is 3 cups of sugar.
Wait, it's on lock? Oh, it's already up. Yeah.
This is 3 cups of sugar.
Okay.
Into which you're gonna. You do it. It's your recipe. It's your mother. I'll just stay out of the way.
All right. We're going to cream the sugar and the cream cheese. Where's the cream cheese?
It's all there.
And
the butter.
3 sticks of butter.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know,
And people say, why does this cake taste so good?
I shared this on a show once, and it's my favorite story. And fortunately, it has a happy ending. A woman, I can't remember if she told me this or if she wrote this. No, she told me. She told me that I met her in an event. She talked about the pound cake. She said, we served this pound cake for dinner. Everybody loved it. My husband had 2 pieces, and then that night he had a heart attack. And it was terrible. They took him to the hospital. He was there, he had open heart surgery. She said, it wasn't the cake. We know that, but we call it the heart attack cake now.
Right? Yeah. Some names just stick. That's like my name around the station is Stick of Butter. So,
All right.
Okay.
Now we're supposed to add the eggs, the vanilla. Well, when this is light and fluffy, we're going to add some vanilla, and then the eggs one at a time. They're already together in a measuring cup.
But also, what I want to do is, because we have all kinds of surprises here.
Okay. Oh, then I'm going to be surprised.
We're just going to be dumping stuff into here. So maybe Dave Rhodes, who was, one of our, other than Hugh Downing, I think maybe Dave Rhodes was our 2nd director. He's back for the anniversary. He's in the control room, and Dave, maybe you want to run. We have some footage of the original setup that we did in Studio A. Look at this. Look at this stuff here.
Wow.
Look at that. Oh
look
my
at
God.
Look at that
What
kitchen.
a beautiful kitchen.
We just kind of threw that together.
Yeah, and it's not real. I mean, it's all just like placed there.
Yeah, I remember running out and buying some wallpaper border because I felt like the kitchen needed some color. And somebody said, all right, go ahead. My mother was an interior decorator, and I just saw the need for some bit of, speaking of my mother, yes. Okay, now we're going to add one, how much?
It's a
1.5 teaspoon of vanilla.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to mix that in.
And then you can add the eggs one at a time.
One at a time.
You want me to do that?
You do that. I don't think I can control them one at a time. Look at that. See, I have to break them one at a time.
Give that a little juice.
Yeah.
We're going to get that. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to beat it well after each one. So this is 6 large eggs, just FYI. So we've got 3 sticks of butter, got 8 ounces of cream cheese, 3 cups of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and 6 large eggs.
And the funny thing is, when you're adding these eggs, it looks like it'll never take another egg, but it does. And you want the eggs to be incorporated before you start adding the flour. Look at that. The eggs are the only leavening in this recipe.
Yeah.
There's no other baking soda, baking powder, or anything.
Got some egg in the eye. Isn't there some expression? Egg in your face, egg on you?
Egg on your face.
Egg,
yes.
I got egg on my face.
All right.
Alrighty, and then you're going to add the 3 cups of flour.
But we've learned not to put stuff into the mixer while it's running like that.
We learned that, and thank you for reminding me that we learned that, because I was about to do it.
You were about to put it in there. We've been covered with chocolate, powdered sugar, flour,
Yep.
egg.
Yeah.
But
There's a reason you only see me wearing 3 different shirts over and over again on these shows.
Right.
And that's it. It's like,
that's it.
Okay, this can get dirty. It's been dirty before.
all right, so now you can start incorporating the flour.
We're not going to turn it off because it's going so slowly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it will be fine.
All right.
Unless you want to turn it off and put some more in and then just
It's a-
run slowly. Is it easier to get it in?
You know what? It will be. It will be.
Okay.
Oh, and I have to tell you, I haven't made this in a long, long time, so I'm glad I'm having this opportunity. And
Okay.
my mother, she lives in Florida now.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to have to send her some kind of a link to see this this show because she's going to be so excited to know that we're making this again.
Making her cake
Mom.
again.
I love you, and this was the cake when I came home from college or after I was married and moved away when I came home for holidays, and Mom would say, what do you want me to make for you? And I would say to her, do you even have to ask? It was always the pound cake. Yeah, we really learned that lesson, didn't we?
But that's a prime example, Nancy, of what we're talking about. These are not just ingredient lists and directions. They have associated with them memories of the people who made it, the times we shared it. All of those things make these special.
Yeah.
They're not like Betty Crocker, where you just have the ingredients and then it says stir those, mix that, bake this. It is so much more.
It is, and we had no idea when she came on. If I remember, it was the Mother's Day show that she came on and made this. M is for
M is for mom.
For mom, and not Mother's Day, but M is for mom, and. She was so nervous, her hands were shaking, and we had no idea when she made this cake that it would make her, she doesn't even live in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And yet I would argue, she's one of the most well-known people in this town among the QED family because of this pound cake.
Because of that pound cake, there's no question. So that's nice and smooth.
Do we have
there.
a spatula we can get
Yep,
the stuff off the
we
edges?
do from
Here
there.
it is. There it is. Okay.
And we can just.
Okay, this is just for TV. So,
Yeah.
but we are going to really make this cake, so we want to get
yeah.
all the ingredients in there.
And it's a fairly thick batter, isn't it?
It is. It is. Okay.
Okay.
Let's stir it up a little bit more.
All right.
It'll soften up a bit.
And I'm gonna put a little bit of nonstick spray.
Nonstick spray.
I don't know if that's the way your mom did it. She probably put butter and flour in it, right?
Yeah, we would rub butter on the edge because 3 sticks of butter you could always use a little bit more. And that's even a nonstick pan, isn't it?
It is.
But
I'm
you
not
have to
going
be
to
too
trust
careful.
it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to run and get a pan to put this on.
A pan to put it
Well,
on.
because in case it leaks out of this
Oh.
particular pan is open,
Oh,
goes
I
like,
understand. Mine doesn't leak. I should have brought mine in.
See?
My mother bought it for me when I got married, and I still have. My mother bought all of the special type pans and pots that I have to this day in my kitchen, and the way they're still hanging in there.
All right, so let's pour this
Okay.
in there.
All right. Now this is where I would hope my mother wouldn't clean the.
And you would.
Don't clean it too well, Mom, because I'm going to be licking it when you're done.
Well, we'll put this aside for you, Nancy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I told you I've gone from 0 to 2 on this show, and it's not for lack of trying. Chris has taught me an awful lot, but from the point I started at, he's taught me everything he can possibly fit into this pea brain.
I'm gonna come over on the other side here, get rid of the mixer, and
My mother and my sister are the cooks in my family. They love to cook, they love to bake. Me, I was always on KP duty. I'd say, you know what? I'll clean up, you guys do all the cooking, I'll do all the cleaning up. So I could host a show on how to clean a kitchen, let me tell you. But
that's one we've never done.
okay, I'm gonna produce that one.
All right. So then you put that in the oven, a slow oven actually.
It is
It's
a
like
slow
a
oven,
320
yeah.
oven. It's, I think that the recipe says an hour to an hour and a half. This has never been done
No.
in less than an hour and a half.
I agree with you, and I thought it was my oven. I really did. And let me tell you, smooth this out as much as you can before you put it in the oven, because it's going to bake in exactly whatever. If you've got a mountain or a peak, that peak is going to be there when it's done. So smooth it out. And it's also going to crack a bit. I will warn you. When it's cooking, it cracks.
Well, I made this one in like a bundt pan.
Oh, that
and so
didn't
the cracks are on the bottom.
On the bottom.
You know, so that once I pull this out.
Oh.
So I've got a little piece for you and me, Nancy, because some of the best parts of all of these shows in 25 years is when we actually get to taste the food.
Oh, yes.
So here we go.
All righty, I'm using my finger, and I'm sorry, but that's just the way we do it at home.
Okay.
Okay. Where I'm
Got to get you a.
Here, put that there. I'm going to run my hand under
All
some
right.
water.
And I'm going to have a taste of the Arlene Polinsky's cream cheese pound cake. I can't think of a better way to start a 25th anniversary
I'm with you on that.
than to have a piece of this historic cake.
Oh, it's so simple and so good.
It is. It's like the best pound cake you ever ate in
It
your
is
whole
good.
life.
And a lot of people tell me they like it with fruits on it and cream.
I wouldn't do a darn thing.
Me neither.
I like it just like this. And we've included this recipe, obviously, among the most popular recipes in our 25th anniversary cookbook. And we hope that you will call now to show your support for WQED and the cooking things that we do here, and to get your copy of the 25th anniversary cookbook. Quaylin?
What's really wonderful about this cookbook and about this particular program is you are getting the favorite of all favorites. And Chris has done that by just a little bit out of every particular program. So you can get this cookbook for a pledge of support, as you see on the screen, and go to the phone right now and make that pledge of support to WQED, because not only are you pledging your support for this particular show, but for so many of the other programs that we do bring to you. Go to the phone right now, make that sustaining membership to WQED, and it's a really great way for you to be able to pledge your support. Now, we've had a lot of kids on the shows over the years, and I just want you to take a look back at this.
But you can do them like this, you know, just like.
Oh, okay. No.
No, that's good. Okay. While you stir. How's that coming?
It's pretty good. It's like getting really brown.
Sure, you can start beating it.
Might like that better.
I love it.
You know, like it's like really.
Brian made this. All right, and what are you going to do with them?
It's really good.
When you first came into this kitchen, you were just Nick Vaskov from over at Central Catholic. Let me have your name again.
Nick Vaskov.
Nick. It's always great to have Father Nick here in the studio.
Good to be here, Chris. Thanks.
He's here with his son, Chris Fennimore, and Joey.
What is your lunch? Not sometimes, always.
A peanut butter sandwich.
Happy birthday.
He was cute back then. He's even cuter today.
So good.
Yes. Sit here and watch us make
Right.
30 dumplings, but this is something that if you make for your friends, you never have to worry about what it's like left over. What it's like the next day. They are never left over.
I'd like to find
never
out
happened.
sometime.
Folks, I didn't train him to do this. I swear to you that this is all his own idea. But he... Oh, he's still making faces, Joseph. It's always wonderful to have you in the kitchen, and especially here on this 25th anniversary, because, you know, this started just a year before you were born, And you've grown up with this series, coming on at different stages in your life. Actually, more in the last 5 or so years since you could actually cook then,
Yeah, it was a little bit more helpful then, I would say. But there are clips, of me being like this tall and I'm up on a stool.
Yep.
Or stacked stools, and I still had the full-length apron, so you pick me up and it's
It was
the
all-
apron for days. But it's been really special to be a part of this.
So I wanted to have you back in the kitchen representing the kids, and I wanted to make a recipe that, it has a lot of meaning to me because it's a recipe that I made when I was a kid in my mother's kitchen. We would help Mom. We were the kitchen help around the house on 10th Avenue and 70th Street in Brooklyn. And when she would make manicotti, we had like an assembly line, and we all got to work on this. Although I have to say, she made all of the crepes. But we're gonna.
And sure enough, I'm gonna leave that part to you.
You-
today. Because even now, all grown, I don't know if I could
can
do it.
handle these things. Oh, I'm sure you could. Anyway, so the first thing to do is we're going to mix the crepes, so I need the 4 eggs. Is that? Yeah. Let's put those in here. I'm just going to give those a little. You can put them all at once because.
The manicotti is an interesting one for me because when I was really little and I was a kid, I feel like this was a recipe that I wasn't as into. When I was little, it's really a shame when your dad is the cooking guy, but I was a picky eater. And, it shames me now to know that I was missing out on this for all these years.
Well, in that clip, I asked you, what is the thing that you had every single day at school? What did you eat? And you said peanut butter sandwich. But it wasn't just a peanut butter sandwich. I mean, it was just a peanut butter sandwich.
No jelly.
No jelly. If I could trim the edges off, he liked that. You're a little bit more adventurous now.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. Now you can put in 1 cup of the flour. I like to mix the flour with the eggs first. And I'm just going to get that in there. You can put a pinch of salt.
Okay. I assume not this whole...
Not the whole thing, I like to leave a bowl of salt around the house, around the kitchen. And it seems to me easier than salt shakers, and I can control it better. And it makes you feel very chefly when you go, like that. So, anyway, so I'm just going to get this until it is pretty smooth. If you were to put all the liquid in first, the flour would get lumpy.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to comment, is that I feel like in a lot of recipes you do all the liquid, all the dry, all at once, but seeing the consistency that this is coming to makes sense.
So now we add 1/2 cup of milk and 1/2 cup of water, which we've already mixed together, so that's the requisite amounts.
Just 1/2 cup?
No, it's a 1/2 cup of water plus 1/2 cup of milk.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Oh, over the course of 25 years, I can't tell you how many things we've mismeasured, miscooked, misappropriated, and mistaken one for another, like sugar for flour or things like that. All right. So now, in the real world, this would go into the fridge for at least an hour, and what that does is it makes the pancakes that we're going to make, the crepes that we're going to make out of this, hold together a little bit better. But, it's, again, the magic of television. I could have had some of this made ahead of time, but I'm going to risk it. But I will let it rest just a little bit. I'm going to put this on the backboard, and
While we work on the filling?
Work on the filling. You need to add 1 egg to, this is a pound of ricotta.
Okay.
Okay? So, and I'm just going to, I like to use fresh parsley. This is actually fresh parsley from my garden. Yeah.
How about that?
Picked without, moments ago.
Keeping a nice little herb garden is a really fun thing, especially in the summer.
Well, the fact of the matter is that even if you live in an apartment, you can grow some herbs in pots. If you just have a window, it just needs a little bit of sun every day. But you can grow basil, and you can grow parsley, and you can grow fresh oregano, you can grow thyme. Okay. So
trying to work the egg in here
Yeah.
with moderate success.
Get it in there. All right, now I'm going to put this in, and then if you would grate some Romano cheese into there. This, I say this every time, a lot of people think of Parmigiano Reggiano as the only Italian cheese, but it's not. There's different cheeses for different uses. The Parmigiano is a radically different cheese from this because Parmigiano is made from cow's milk and Romano cheese is made from sheep's milk. So the flavor, the texture, the whole process is so completely different. Now they're both great. I love Parmigiano Reggiano.
But this was always.
But this is the one that we used on a daily basis because that's the way my family is. And this particular brand, Locatelli cheese, it's hard to beat.
I feel like I didn't really even know what type of cheese this was. I just referred to it as, oh, the Locatelli.
The cheese, yeah.
I figured that was it.
Yeah. How you doing?
Well, I could always add more.
Yes.
But I figure we got things to do.
For now, I would mix that all up and put a little salt and pepper in there.
Sure.
The cheese is pretty salty, but I always like to add a little bit of salt. It's a different kind of saltiness than the cheese is. And in the meantime, I'm going to make believe that I can make these crepes. And in order to get them going, would you hand me that ladle, Joe?
Yes.
At home, I have a ladle. I should have brought it today. I have a ladle that is exactly the size of the amount of liquid that makes one crepe in this pan. So I'm working a little bit at a deficit here. I'm going to give my mother used to just put a little bit of olive oil in on the first pancake. I'm using just some spray, just for safety's sake. I'm going to rub out the excess.
All right.
And then, you're all good.
I think
All
so. Do you want me to cut up a couple of slices of the mozzarella?
Yes, yes. And now I'm going to. This is,
Look at that.
It's like fresh pasta, except that the liquid is so different from a pasta, but the ingredients are the same. It's flour and egg. Really. And now I'm going to get one of my spatulas here. Because these things cook in a flash, and what you look for, and Frank, you're in on this as our cameraman. You want to just to make sure that the top is dry, and then you flip it over. That's all it takes. And these, maybe they took a minute to cook. That would be a lot, yeah. And then once you've turned them once, they only take a half a second on the other side. All right, let's see if we can do this again. End up with a couple here. You want to spread it kind of thin. And it can't really go terribly wrong unless you don't add enough. Then you're scrounging around trying to spread it out.
It's funny, I can see as it's cooking, you see the
moisture.
liquid
Yeah.
coming away from the edges.
Yeah, that's it. Look at that. It's almost ready already. And you could, I'm cooking this on a medium heat. I don't want to cook it on a too low a heat, but I also don't want these things to brown. We like them when they're really light colored. Oh boy, did my mom and Gram cook. My grandmother was the oldest of 8 girls. And so Sunday dinner was at her house. And she would cook a dinner for 20 or 30 people every Sunday. And we were the kitchen help. You know, we had to clean mushrooms, take the ends off of green beans, endless little chores. They wouldn't give us big things. I remember when I stepped up to the job of shaping meatballs. And Graham let me shape some meatballs. It was pretty good. All right, should I do 2 more, or we got enough here?
I think we got enough to
We
start
got enough. All right,
the,
I'm gonna
the production.
turn this off. I got lucky. I don't want to push my luck. All right. So now we have a nice pan, and I want to put a little bit of sauce in here. This is some tomato basil sauce, so it's got a nice flavor to it, but it shouldn't be too complicated. Yeah, just grab that around. Okay. You need more, or you good?
No, I think it's good.
All right. So now we're going to put that up front, and you take one, and I'll take one.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it gets a little bit of the parsley on it. It's going to be good. And you want to put a nice dollop of the mixture on. About 2 tablespoons is good. One more. Yeah. Okay. This is... We're not selling these, my father used to say. So, all right. But you don't want to fill them like too much. And then you take a piece of the mozzarella and plop it right in there. And each one of us had a job. My sister Pat would put these out, deal them like a deck of cards, the pancakes on the table. And then Pauline would go around with the spoon, and she would do boonk, da boonk, da boonk. And then I would put the mozzarella, and then we would all take one and roll it up as tight as we could make it.
So I noticed a very small little thing about what you just did. You dolloped sort of closer to the edge.
Yeah.
So that you'd have room to roll.
Yep. And that's the way we roll.
Mine is the very colorful one.
Yes. Yes, that's fine. More dollops. More dollops.
More dollops.
Okay. All right. We're going to get this going. Burp. Fold it over. Now, if you would put a little bit of sauce on that, Joe.
Sure.
Just. And I'm going to get these finished. Manicotti. Just because.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
That's
Look, how about
beautiful.
that? Yeah, right? I'm going to put these over here. We can finish making the rest of the manicotti later. You got some plates there?
I do.
And a spatula. We're going to serve up some. This the regular
Other kind of spatula.
Yeah, other kind of spatula. Yeah. This was a dish that we didn't have all the time. It was actually a sort of a special event macaroni. Otherwise, we would just have like rigatoni or, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a production to put these together.
Well, not if you have a lot of kids around the house, but you know. So there it is. That light crepe on the outside, and the gooey cheese and.
It's very light.
When it bakes, it soaks up that tomato sauce. It's pretty good, folks. So if you have a kid in your kitchen, I would suggest using this recipe to get them started. They can do the plopping, they can do the little things, and Joe,
And they don't forget it.
and they don't forget it, because this guy cooks like crazy now.
I do.
And Joe, it's been such a joy to have you over the years coming into the kitchen, sometimes more than others, but you know, overall, I would.
I am the most frequently recurring guest on this show.
There you go.
We ran the math.
There's the math of it all. Other than Nancy and myself, it's this kid, you know, from when he was 3 months old or something. I don't know how old you were in those shots, but anyway, this recipe and so many of the great favorites over 25 years are in our brand new cookbook, and here's how you can get your copy.
This cookbook is going to be a favorite for everybody because it's our 25th anniversary QED Cooks with recipes selected from the past 25 years. A great representation of all types of recipes. So, you know, you've got an entire meal here, main courses, side courses, desserts, salads, soups. They're all in here, and oh, I just opened Crock-Pot Cooking. We all love Crock-Pot Cooking. Here's a section, Feast of the Seven Fishes. This goes on and on from all of the shows, and it can be yours for a $5 a month sustaining membership to WQED. That totals a $60 annual gift, and again, we can automatically deduct this from your bank account or charge it to your credit card, whichever method you choose to become a sustaining member of QED. It's one click, one phone call away. We've offered suggestions, $5 a month, $7 a month, $9 a month, but whatever fits your budget is what works for us. So we've been showing you some montages. Coming up, we've got a look at some of the favorite recipes that we've prepared over the past 25 years. I don't know what they are. Let's all share this together.
I'm going to make zucchini cheesecake.
You're making one of my favorite dishes.
Pasta primavera is beautiful, especially in the summer when you have all the fresh vegetables.
The scent that greets me when I walk in the door is Mama's stuffed cabbage. You were surprised when I called you and said, I want you to make the stuffed cabbage.
And these pork chops are a memory.
Aren't they something?
Manette, the rice was mounded perfectly. Gina is the person who makes us look gorgeous on these programs. And she said, my Nana makes a cake called Nana's Love Cake. So here's Nana. A very simple fresh tomato sauce that my grandmother used to make. Now, what are you going to make for us today?
Salmon cakes with dill sauce.
It's called Polish sausage casserole. Have a taste. Good luck.
I gotta have one.
They are coming along very nicely here.
We're gonna make what's called a Christmas stollen.
So there's a lot of cooking
and there's a lot of cooking going on.
Oh, you made steak pizziola? And I said, yeah, that's what I made.
There's one thing that everybody felt strongly about, and that is hot sausage.
There's 4 basic components to the burnt almond torte: white cake, pastry cream, a buttercream icing, and then of course burnt almonds.
Today we're doing the stuffed banana peppers and fried zucchini.
Oh, you can't get more Pittsburgh than that.
And you just spread that around. And you have the corned beef going on it, the Swiss cheese, the Thousand Island dressing.
Do you have a favorite?
No, they're all so dang good.
They're all so good.
Oh, and here we are back in the kitchen some 20 years later.
Yes.
What was that, about 20
Yeah,
years
it was
ago?
March of 1998.
Okay, so there you go, 20 years ago. This is Dineen Ross, who brought us a recipe then called the Reuben casserole, which, you know, when I first heard it, I thought, well, that's silly. Why don't you just make a Reuben sandwich? And since then, I have to tell you, what have we had, like 1,000 requests for that recipe? And people all over Pittsburgh and other parts of the country as well are making Dineen's Reuben casserole. So I thought, we're going to do a 25-year anniversary. We have to have Dineen in. You've been on the show many times, haven't you?
Yes, it's a thrill I love to be on.
You made some sort of
Stuffed cabbage soup.
Stuffed cabbage soup.
And the
Yes.
grilled cantaloupe and
Grilled.
cheese and ham strata and all kinds of things.
We've been cooking, and it's all been yummy. And so we're going to make the Reuben casserole, and the last thing that you put on the Reuben casserole is a topping of buttered bread, right?
Yes,
and
that's it.
You had the rather laborious instruction to butter each slice of bread and then cut it into squares and everything. And I was getting ready for this, and I said, wait a minute, there's got to be an easier way. And so what I've done is to melt a bunch of butter
A bunch.
Well, a stick of butter, frankly, because that is my nickname. So if you want to cut this into the kind of cubes shape that you want.
It's funny because the older I get now I just use a plastic bag and put melted butter in over the bread and shake it up and throw the bag away, and
And that's all that takes. So you continue to do a lot of cooking, right, Dineen?
Oh, I love to cook. Absolutely love to cook.
Because even on the shows that you didn't appear and make a dish, you always send in recipes, no matter what the category is. So I just figured you have like a wealth of recipes to call upon.
Well, when you started your shows, I would videotape everything, and I have all of the ones from the very beginning. Then I'd go through and write the recipe down so that I'd have it. So.
And now you don't even have a VCR to play those tapes, right?
DVR. Oh no, we did keep a VCR, but I have to be honest, I don't know where the tapes are, but they're somewhere in the house, I'm sure. So basically you just, can cube this up. I have had people tell me that they've actually used, I've not seen them, the rye croutons.
Oh, okay.
That you buy in a bag to save you from, doing all of, okay.
No, we're cooking with our hands here,
Absolutely.
Yeah, as we always do. My favorite tool in the kitchen.
Well, I love the way Nancy cleaned off the spatula. I was in there watching her, and I'm like, Nancy, just wipe it with your finger. And she did. I'm like, oh, it's my kind of cook.
Well, this is home cooking. It's not restaurant cooking, and so it's a whole different way of going about things.
Exactly.
Not that we're very careful about cross-contamination and raw chicken and all of those things, but other than that, we don't have to have. I would feel very silly using blue rubber gloves or something in order to cook, because I don't do that at home, and I doubt that many of us do.
I know I don't.
There may be somebody. So.
Maybe somebody who doesn't like germs, but
well, it's not.
That isn't in my house. There you go. And that's the hardest part of the entire recipe. Literally cutting up the.
If you give me the spatula, I'll give these a nice turn so that we get butter on all sides.
There you go.
Okay.
And I'll lift this up onto here. Okay, and then this is a bag of sauerkraut, 32 ounces. You can use a can if you want. I find the bags, I can really squeeze the juice out but still keep the integrity of the sauerkraut. So all you do is drop this into the bottom.
Now, do you rinse the sauerkraut or just drain it?
Because of laziness, I just stab the bag and rinse and squeeze it, and then I let water run over it, and then I squeeze it out again, and then I'm done.
Okay.
So anytime you can make a recipe and just throw the containers away, then you're in good shape. So you just even that out, and then...
And this whole recipe is proportioned so that you use one bag of sauerkraut, right?
Exactly, that's it. 1 bag of sauerkraut, and then 1 pound of corned beef. And you don't have to get the very, very leanest corned beef. If they have it on special, you can get that. You can even freeze corned beef if you want for this and, use it that way. If you can get a sale on the corned beef, this is beautiful. This is really nice. But some fat in it isn't going to hurt you at all. Obviously, there's a stick of butter over there, so some fat in this won't hurt you.
Nothing but the best for you, Dineen.
Yeah, hey, what can you say, Chris? You are the best.
We went right to the top with this corned beef.
And you can see this, you don't have to cut huge pieces of this because you can see how thick it's going to be with the corned beef and with the Swiss cheese. And now the only thing I do different that is in the recipe, and I've said it every time I've been on, is I put a lot more Thousand Island than
it says.
Yeah. And then I serve Thousand Island on the side as well because I like a lot of Thousand Island. I know you like it with mustard as well. You've said about spicy brown mustard.
Yeah, I have used a layer of spicy brown mustard.
Oh, have you actually put it in it?
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome.
I'm a mustard guy, so,
See, my husband is too. I am not. So he can have all the mustard he wants. It just goes on the side.
On the side. Well, I've gotten this pretty nice
That
and,
is a
and
really
coated.
great idea, putting it in the pan.
And they're nice and soft now, so we can press them in there.
And you can see when it's sliced thin like this, you don't have to do, like I'm putting some of them are 2 slices together. It's a very forgiving recipe. It is in no way that something you have to worry about what it looks like. Nobody's going to see what's under there anyway.
I have to say, Dineen, the hardest part of putting this show together was choosing among the hundreds of fabulous recipes that have been made, and not just ones that I liked, but that have been popular with the viewers and have been in all of our cookbooks. And to try to narrow it down to just a few that we can show, the better part for me, and it was also hard, was putting the book together, where you know, I can only take 2 or 3 recipes from each one of the programs. So, you know, that limits you significantly.
Now it said a half a cup, but like I said.
Oh, go for it. Just use it all.
Okay, works for me.
Yeah. No, we're not.
Now see, my husband would say, that's too goopy for me.
No, I like it.
And I'm like, the goopier the better. Okay, and then we're just gonna spread that out. Make sure it gets the whole way the corner, because you don't want anybody to miss out on the
They didn't
Thousand
get their
Island.
Thousand Islands, right?
Even if you're putting a lot on, still make sure it's even. Yep, and this is, that's basically, it's something that's so easy to throw together.
And you can put this together like the night before a party, and then you just pop it in the oven, you know, a few hours before, you know.
Yeah, you can even do the bread and everything on ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get crisp in the oven anyway. And there you go.
Okay, you got your cheese to put on?
A nice, there you go.
I'm just gonna
keep them. Whoa, look at you showing your skills.
You know, over the course of the years, I didn't start out as much of, I mean, I love to cook the things that my family made, but we've been so lucky, so fortunate to have so many great cooks on the show. And every time I come in this kitchen, I've learned something about cooking technique, but I also learned a lot about the people who have brought these recipes in. Some of the people from the old days that you know, since this is the segment about the people who've been on, Penny Lawrence was somebody who was on here all the time. Teresa Falvo, in the early days, she would come and she would be dressed to the nines. She had all of her jewelry and her makeup. We didn't have a makeup person then, you know.
Yeah, I remember.
But she would come in and she had these wonderful home-style Italian recipes, and I think she was on every one of the early shows. And I know I'm going to forget people, you know, because I'm not great at names anyway, but I think back to those days, and we have Jim Barron, who was on the show many, many times, Kathy Geiger. Those of you out there will remember those names. Okay, do we got enough?
I think we're just finishing this up. You know, it's funny because when I meet people, they talk about your recipes, but they also talk about Nancy's. They're like, she says she doesn't cook. I said, Nancy cooks.
Nancy's got always the most popular recipe, especially for the crew. I mean,
the Blintz loaf I love, and obviously the pound cake. And there you go. Well, this is good because it gets that cheese starting to melt right away. That is a great idea. But it's funny, they'll say, Nancy says she can't cook. I'm like, Nancy can cook.
Nancy cooks. She has
awesome recipes.
It's the recipes that she has in here. She made a trifle one time that was as big as Mount Vesuvius. It was huge, and it was gone in a flash as soon as we put it out for the volunteers. That's the other thing I want to get straight here. 25th anniversary show, somebody's got to say something. People ask me, what's one of the big questions? What do you do with all that food? Okay, there's not a problem. I'm sorry. I know you'd love to come in and say, I'll help you out with that. But we don't need the help at this point, because between the crew and the people who answer the phones and whatnot, there's never any left.
No.
I always go home hungry. It's just, I'm gonna get this finished one over here.
Okay.
And we got to have a taste. Look at this. Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if we can just...
Okay, that works.
Look at that. Oh, my. And you know, the nice thing about it is that the corned beef is so thin and tender that you could just go through it with the spatula like that.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Time for a taste, Dineen. This is a taste of a quarter century.
Ching ching.
Ching ching. Ooh, ow. It's all melty.
Easier said than done.
Mmm. And the flavor of that corned beef goes through the whole casserole, even when you're just eating sauerkraut and cheese. Oh, yeah. Dineen, thank you for this recipe and for all that you've contributed to QED Cooks over the last 25 years. We couldn't be more thankful. And it's not only that, but it's been fun.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
So if you want to participate in this 25th anniversary, here's how you can do it by getting your copy of the great cookbook we're putting together.
All right, here's how you get the cookbook. You get the cookbook by becoming a member of WQED, and you get it at the $5 a month sustaining level, which you can arrange to happen by calling us at the number at the bottom of your screen or clicking on WQED.org. If you can swing $40 a month and you'd love to have 25 cookbooks, then become a member at that level. And you will get such an array of cookbooks that you will never need another one in your life. And as we always say, these cookbooks are tried and true recipes. These are the recipes that people have sent to us and said, you know, these are our favorite recipes, and they're here for you to see. All right, so 25 years we've been here on the air, and we're taking all these little looks back. Let's take another look back at the 25 years on the air.
Sugar in the morning, sugar in the evening, sugar at supper time. Be my little sugar and love me all the time.
C'è luna, mezza mare, mamma mia da maritare.
You can sing. Figlie mie cutterare, mamma mia, pensacci tu.
Whoop. Oh, you okay there? Yeah.
Look how little.
Look at that, isn't that neat? And gotta kiss twice or my wife will be watching.
You can look at it, it just smells scrumptious.
You
Here.
can bring this to Sunday get-together for the cookbooks. You gotta get busy now.
And we all know those Bloody Marys were really delicious. We tried them out this week.
Is that fire on that you just put the paper on top of?
It's gonna burn soon, mamma mia.
We're cooking in the studio now, let me tell you. I am Chris Fennimore, and I'm here in the kitchen with Ernie Ritchie from Ritchie's Sausages, which is Ritchie's Sausages in McKees Rocks. And your lovely wife is here, Mary? Cherry, I'm sorry. Known her for years. No, can't scare me, chef. Ooh, that is nice and spicy. You just don't get any better than this one.
This is really good. I am enjoying it.
Mmm. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. Mmm. 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 Mmm.
Mmm.
Not bad, huh?
Mmm. Mmm.
and then I said, I'm here in the studio with Father Nick.
Hi, Chris.
You know, Nick was at the Central Catholic High School right across the driveway from WQED, and he and Michael Serto came on when we did Kids in the Kitchen. Right. You were still tall. You know, you were, and then you worked as an intern for me for a whole summer.
I did. It was great.
And we organized segments for the weekly series. And then you've come on and cooked with us many times, both in and out of your garb. You know, when were you ordained? What was the year?
2009. So just celebrated 9 years as a priest.
Wow. That's terrific. I mean, of course, when I remember you as,
Right.
I can't say I remember
Never
you when you were
little.
little, but I remember you when you were just in high school. So it's amazing to me, this transformation, and yet, you're still the same guy.
My mother says I still have the baby face.
You do. So Nick has got a few moments to spend with us. I just saw Ernie Ritchie in that segment that we just did. Ernie just walked in the door with a big pile of sausage and peppers and with some sausage rolls and whatnot to feed everybody here who's volunteering today. So thank you, Ernie. You're going to come on the next segment. We got to see your smiling face, and maybe Sherry's there too, who I refer to as Mary, obviously. But anyway, we're going to make one of the dishes that we had this contest, 6 recipes. From that I had to pick from 7,000 recipes that we had, and the recipe that we picked was that you picked was the strawberry pretzel Jello salad. And I got to tell you, we've made this about 2 times on the show. The recipe was actually sent to us by Jan Hurley from Garfield. She's a member of my church, St. Lawrence O'Toole, and when we did that, she said, I'm not going to go on the show. I don't want to be on TV, but I want you to have the recipe. And so she sent us this recipe that is made all over Pittsburgh. It's really it's a staple.
It's on the Vascoff family Thanksgiving table. So.
Yeah. And you serve it with dinner?
We serve with dinner.
Okay.
It's not dessert.
All right. Well, I'm going to put the Jello in. If you would put in the cream cheese and the sugar, and we'll get that softened up. Because that's got to, get really, although the cream cheese, we've had the cream cheese out now for a bit. And I'm going to put the Jello, this is tough work here. I'm going to put Jello in boiling water. It's 2 cups of water for this batch that we're making, and 2 packages of the small packages. What size are these? 3 ounces, and I'm just going to put them in there. I like to mix it around until it's, I'm going to get one of my spatulas. I'm going to mix it around until the Jello is melted and the liquid is clear. This was one of my first jobs, because we used to have Jello every night. You know that?
Really?
Oh, well, not every night, but my mother always had something after dinner. Did you have you had to have something?
Exactly.
If it was a cookie or whatever. But a lot of times it was Jello. And then we thought, it was very different, because tonight was cherry Jello, tomorrow was orange Jello. It was not the same thing. And of course, when we were sick, we had to have Jello.
Well, you figure it's not expensive. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
You do it during the day.
And she would always, I loved it when she made it in the individual cups. I felt that was special, But now what I have here are some frozen strawberries. And he said, they are really frozen. And the point of these is to quickly cool off the Jello. But I'm going to have to use the Jello to quickly warm up the strawberries. We're going to let that sit for 1 minute. Okay, so now we'll turn our attention back to the mix. We have, that's really nice and creamy now, isn't it? So put in, I guess that's a big tub. About half of that would go to make the cream filling. It's sweet. Let's face it. There's, what was that? 3 cups of sugar?
Yeah. No. Cup of sugar.
Oh, a cup.
3 tablespoons.
Oh, okay.
Not too bad.
Yeah, just a cup of sugar. Okay. So, and now we're just, boy, is that frozen.
It's live TV.
Mamma mia.
Maybe try to use the other end to break it up a little bit.
I don't know. It's not going anywhere. I could try that. Anybody have like a jackhammer?
Ice pick.
Ice pick. Your job is now. Do you get to do much cooking now?
I do. I cook for myself and cook for friends and family, so as much as I can.
When you were in the seminary, you were in Rome for a while.
For
you
5
were doing
years.
some cooking there, right?
Oh, I loved to cook. I'd go and talk with the chefs as they were making lunch, so learned all the good Roman recipes and loved to make some good pasta dishes and things like that. Saltimbocca, all
Lots
that
of
good
artichokes. Don't they eat artichokes by the ton?
And pancetta.
Yes. Well, you go into the supermarket, the little supermarket in the neighborhood that I go visit in Rome, and they have pancetta in little packages, all pre-cut, so it's really easy to deal with. Okay, so just lay that out, spread that around. This is going to fall into the category of better, easier said than done. On the other hand, there it goes. Okay. I think we have ignition, Houston. Yeah. All right.
There we go.
Now, one of the things that I remember from the original recipe of this is that you have to get this all the way to the edges. Otherwise, all the Jell-O seeps down into the pretzels, and it's okay. It's all edible, but it just doesn't look or feel right. Now, the theory behind what I'm doing here is that the frozen strawberries do a quick cooling of the Jell-O, and so it actually starts to congeal a little bit. And if we had all that time in the world, we could wait. But I think maybe what we're going to do is just roll with this. Although it is coming.
Looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But isn't this cooking with family, cooking in the kitchen? You go with the flow, and you make it work.
Yeah, and usually you're in the kitchen by yourself, so nobody knows that this goes on, and then you serve it, and oh my goodness, that was gorgeous.
Exactly.
Yeah, sir. Who's to know? All right. So you get the idea. You break this all up, and if it weren't super solid frozen the way it was, it would have already happened. And then all you do is pour this mixture on top of here in smaller lumps, please, Chris. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
And I want to get this all the way to the edges of this. It would be a little bit prettier. But fortunately, as they say through the magic of television, there we have it. And I just see out of the corner of my eye that Jim Barron walked into the studio. Jim, come over here because you got to have a taste of this. This is Jim. You don't have to be mic'd. We'll talk over you. Stand next to him. There's a hand mic down there if you wanted to use it. In the control room, they'll know what I'm talking about. This when you came on the show, it intimidated me because Jim is a gourmet cook. You're also a doctor, yes. But we never cared about that. But he would bring like a gourmet touch to what we were making. I don't remember some of the dishes that you made, but they were always like 2 pages long in the cookbooks. And the recipes were, but I learned so much because the recipes were that much more complicated, and
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was fun.
So that's
very nice.
Yeah, we're gonna have some. Nick, do you want to get some serving dishes, and we'll serve up this version. And you got to get all the way down underneath those pretzels to get a taste. Now, Jim, are you still doing a lot of cooking?
I do, yeah, usually on weekends. So you're cutting into my cooking time today.
Oh, that came good. This is all coming out.
One more.
Oh, yeah. All right. So this was the winner of the viewers contest. We did this online, and we did it, and we had people vote for the recipe out of 6 different recipes. They voted for their very favorite, and you know, I have to say, in some ways it's a silly recipe. In other ways, once you taste it, you never forget it. It's good. It's crunchy. It's salty. It's sweet. Oh man, I love the creamy filling.
Classic Pittsburgh.
Thank you, guys. You've been such an important part of these 25 years. You've been on like 42 times. So have you, Father Nick. Some of our regulars here at QED Cooks to make one of our favorite recipes by your accounting. And this recipe and you know, hundreds of recipes are in the brand new 25th anniversary cookbook. And here's how you can get your copy.
This is a really heavy cookbook. It's die cut. Look at this, and then you see lots of different covers from many of our cookbooks, and it's even a better quality paper. So you are getting a really exclusive cookbook that has color photographs and so many things else as well. Make sure you go to the phone right now and pledge your support to WQED. Now, we've had, you know, some regular guests on WQED, and we're going to be able to show you now just a little bit of a look back as we've done, just as we've gone into each one. You can see we are having such a great time here in the studio because people are getting to sample all of the most wonderful recipes, and you can too when you pledge your support. Now, take a look at this.
She's a Dynamo personality with terrific recipes. So Penny, welcome back.
This is Joe Certo, who is our kitchen magician. But Dineen has been on the program before. You always send us recipes whenever we have one of our cooking shows. And
My favorite thing in the whole world to do. It's the shredded cabbage and carrot.
this is my wonderful friend, Mary Irwin Scott. You've been coming on here for years.
Yeah.
Who's been here before. Oh.
It's too early for this.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
This is one of the few things you've ever made that doesn't have any pork in it. This is Chris Moore. I'm Chris Fennimore. We get each other's mail, we get each other's phone calls, and so we always say there's just a Fenny between us.
Just a Fenny between us.
Randy is here to make me look small. Chef Charles Smith, who we affectionately refer to as Chef Chaz. Nice to see you, Maria.
I am in 8th grade and I'm 13 years old.
I'm 10 and I'm in 5th grade at Liberty School.
We can start adding our seasonings.
Then you add a little bit of more spices.
Chill it for 30 minutes.
And then bake it.
And then you bake it for 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness, is that some memories, right? Well, we have sort of like a the all-star team here. Although there are a lot of people who had wanted to make it and for one reason or another couldn't. Elsie Henderson, actually our oldest cook, had said that she wanted to try and make it, but her health has been a little bit iffy. I'm going to have to bring her a video of this, and I'll show it to her next week. Elsie, thank you for all of that you have contributed. You know, when Elsie used to come on the show and do some of the recipes that she did out in Falling Water, but then she also used to come just because we were having a show, and she would always bring a cake.
Yes.
It was like, oh, Elsie's here, where's the cake? So thank you, Elsie, for all that you've contributed to QED Cooks. You've been such a wonderful supporter. And so then down at the end, we have, what's that guy's name? Oh yeah, Joe Fennimore and Jim Barron. Then we have Dineen of many appearances. Nina Moulay Lyons in the sharpest Hawaiian shirt I have ever seen in my and her husband Joe is wearing the same shirt, and I just bought one. So I'm not going to be left out. Ernie Ritchie, who has been such a friend to WQED down at the home show and on appearances here. We did the Seven Fishes show from here with you, and your mom and your wife were here. We had a ball.
We did. That was a great show.
Yeah, I watched that thing over and over just to watch it, you know. We have Michael Serto, who you saw when he was knee-high to a grasshopper back here. Now he's Dr. Joseph Serto. I'm Dr. Michael Serto. Where's Joseph Serto? He's not going to get in the picture. He's but Michael, Joe Serto and Mary are the kitchen magician and our chief cook and bottle washer, and have been for all these years.
Wow.
And if we say we could not do the show without them,
Isn't that the
that
truth?
is the truest thing of all.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, my partner in crime, Nancy, and this guy, who I call Scotty, is actually a guy named Grant Scott. He's an architect and a genius at making one dish. This guy can make a Polish sausage casserole to knock your socks off. He's made it on the show twice, and both times we ate. I got it right. You got it right, yeah, because there's only 5. How many ingredients? 5 ingredients, so we've had a lot of fun. He also happens to be married to Mary, our kitchen chief of cooks and bottle washers, and was the best man at my wedding. So we have some connection somewhere along. Yeah. Anyway, what I thought would be fun is that the last recipe that I want to make is one that, again, Nancy brought to us. So, you know, you've scored again. You had the cream cheese pound cake.
Yep.
And now it's the Mummy's, and that's the way you have to name it.
I call my mom Mummy.
Mummy's Apricot Chicken.
Yep.
Now, the greatest thing about this is that it is so delicious that you will never forget the taste of it. You'll want to have it over and over again. And then the good news is that anybody can make this dish.
Anybody.
And we're going to prove that right now, because
this esteemed collection of chefs is going to somehow
that's right.
make it.
This group of talented cooks, home cooks and professional, are going to make the apricot chicken in front of your eyes. So step 1, Dr. Jim Barron, put the chicken in the pan. Yes. Oh, yay! Nice job.
27 years of sport.
Okay. And now this is Nina Moulay Lyons. She's going to put the jam apricot jam
very
right on the chicken. Unbelievable.
And this is the really hard part, making sure that there is some of that jam on every piece of chicken. This is the most complicated part of the recipe. We left it to Nina to handle that part because it was so challenging.
Yes. Oh, hey ho. And now he's sprinkled because I've seen you make your sausage seasoning mix. You never let me know what's in it, but I've seen you do it where you mix it in an 80-year-old bowl or something, or a bucket.
My grandmother's bucket, yes, which is 80-years-old bucket.
I'm not kidding. You
can't mix seasoning without a bucket.
Now, this, for those of you who might be seeing this recipe for the first time, this is onion soup dried mix right out of the package. Any brand will do.
Any brand, and it's all
And it's equally important that you get some on every piece of chicken.
And there it is. Whoa, hi-ho. Okay, now, here's Michael Serto, Dr. Michael Serto.
This is the piece de resistance.
Are you still at Children's right now? Yep. Okay.
This is Russian dressing.
Which you will not be able to get in the supermarket tomorrow. They will be all out of it. Just take my word for it. When you made this the first time, I went to the supermarket and the shelf it was just bare, right there. It was absolutely bare.
The manager of my local store said to me, we can always tell when you make that recipe, we run out of Russian dressing. Please let us know in advance when you're making that recipe.
When you're going to make that recipe. Okay. So now, if you would put this in the...
You're the last.
You put this in the oven.
Can you handle it, Scotty?
Can you make it? Bottom shelf. No, right there. Bottom shelf in the top oven.
He's being very careful.
He is.
All right.
Okay. And when it finishes, it comes out like this. Show that.
4 ingredients.
4 ingredients.
One pan.
Rocks my world.
Yeah, so you might add another dish to your repertoire. All right, give me a fork. I'm going to pass this down so everybody gets a little taste. There's chicken for the end.
Yep.
Fantastic.
It is.
This is my
Or you could split these actually. These are pretty big.
These are big.
Well, I'll send 2 forks then.
That's smart. Dr. Scotty.
Yeah.
That's smart.
How are we doing down there?
Yeah? Anybody bitten into
Anybody
it yet?
need a fork?
Joseph is our first taster. Keep them coming.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Forks.
Ketchup. And
That's it.
I have to.
My mother, we serve this at family holidays. We have served this for dinner guests on Saturday nights. We've served this at family dinners.
I also want to say that when I made this dish, I used boneless chicken pieces, both white meat and the thighs. But I have made this with bone-in chicken.
That's what we usually do.
You can put a half a chicken and just do the whole thing on top of a half a chicken with the skin, without the skin. It all comes delicious, and that sauce is to die for.
Yep,
yeah.
it is.
Oh yeah, there. Delicious. So, okay.
All right.
All right. So that's it. But I also wanted to say that we've got a couple of other things here, because when we get together on these 25th, well, this is the 25th anniversary, but whenever we gather, it's always a feast. And when we do the shows, I said, people ask, what do we do with all that food? And the answer is, it's never a problem, because we just eat it. And then sometimes, like this case, Ernie, you brought some of your mother's sausage roll.
Oh, yum.
This is a bread that I made that we're going to share, this big braided challah bread. And then next to that, we have the one of the contenders for best recipe in the history of QED Cooks.
I wish they could have all won. These cutlets are so good.
These are the pork cutlets, and again, those recipes are available. This is the manicotti. And this,
yes,
I know, I just moved it out of the camera today. This is the zucchini cheesecake.
This is where it all started.
This was the first recipe. And so I'm going to pass this around. People can have a taste. We have plenty of it here. It really, has been... it was the start. It was something that I made from the zucchini in the garden that Laura and I tended. And then I started making these zucchini cheesecakes and bringing them to the garden at night so that she would have something to eat, because she was a very picky eater, or she didn't eat much anyway. But she did eat this. And so this was the start of it all, sweetie. She's out there. She will not go on camera, I'm sure. So, but, so we're gonna have this feast. We also, because it's an anniversary, I wanted to, look at this. We have something else to share. You want to bring that out, Joseph? Okay. And
Oh.
Look at that. Happy 25th anniversary, QED Cooks.
Oh.
That is pretty amazing. Now, if we have that handheld mic down there, right, Joseph? Yes. I would love to have like just one quick remembrance of your connection with QED Cooks over the 25 years. You got one?
Sure thing. I got one. One of my favorite moments, I was about 10, and we were doing the hot and spicy show.
Yes.
And we were doing a spicy peanut sauce, and it was you, me, and Nancy, and we're tasting it, and Nancy, you said, "Oh, this is very spicy," and I said, "Yeah, you just gotta not think about it. That's why my eyes are watering, because I'm thinking about it."
Because I am thinking about it. Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
And you did
Laura!
come on. So we need a quick remembrance from you two.
I was on this show one time, and that was enough.
You made a delicious apple cake. There was nothing wrong with it.
We did, and then he decided to flame it, and I was concerned he was going to start the whole studio on fire.
That's happened before. Okay, Jim, you got one?
Yeah, good one. Doing the soup show.
Yeah.
And I had this huge container. I parked in the back of the studio, and the back door was locked. And I heard somebody behind me said, "I can help you with that." And I turned around and it was Mr. Rogers.
Good on you. That was a great one.
Well, mine definitely can't top that, but I would say the first time I was on, I was making the Reuben, and I tried to put a square container into a round bowl, and I was teased about that forever. So this time there were no containers. Thank you. I don't recall what I was making, but I cut my thumb, and no one knew about it. I grabbed a piece of paper towel, wrapped it up, and I did this little magician's trick where you palm your thumb, and I honestly, no one knew it.
Finished the whole thing.
That's
Nobody
exactly
knew.
right.
Well, I've been blessed enough to be able to do 2 shows with my mother.
Yeah.
And my mother always had the ability to argue with Chris Fennimore. On the Feast of the Seven Fish, we debated on the size of the calamari. To no end. And then when we did Grandmother's Wisdom, we debated on red peppers versus green peppers.
Right.
And that was a great debate. And,
Your mother
it was
is a
always
woman
enjoyable.
With her own mind. She's terrific. She reminds me so much of my grandmother. I can't believe it, but don't tell her that. Michael.
So I've only been on the show once, but I have an entire childhood full of being recognized in the grocery store
From
with
that
my
one.
father. No, with my dad and his
because he's
fan club of women exclusively over the age of 80.
Yes. Which is our primary audience. Scotty?
I can't beat that.
No. And nobody recognizes you in the supermarket, do they?
No.
No.
Well, actually, not true. My mother in Florida called me one time because the show was on in Florida.
The
So I
national
don't know how
shows.
you did that, but
It
that was
happens.
great.
It happens.
You have more memories than anybody.
But I will share this one. Chris always picks the recipes. He's in charge of picking the recipes. One day he told me about a recipe he had rejected, and I looked at it and I said, I think this sounds really interesting. I am not going to say what it was, but I convinced him to put it on the show, and he said, well, okay, then you're the one who's going to cook with it, and you're the one who's going to taste it. And I cooked with the person who brought the recipe in, and I tasted it. And it took every ounce of acting skill I had ever acquired to keep a straight face as I bit into this. And I'm thinking, Chris was so right about this one. But other than that, they have all been absolutely delicious.
Yes, and
you know how to pick them.
Yeah, we're gonna cut some cake and have some fun here. Don't go away, because I believe we're going to have the credit roll of all the people who've ever been on the show. It's going to be at the end of this next break, and so stick around. There's lots more to come. But again, thanks to everybody here. Thanks to everybody there. Those of you who have sent in your recipes, those of you who have come on the show. It's been a terrific 25 years. I can't think of a better way I could have spent my time. So thank you. And now let's go back to Quaylin, who will tell you how to get your memento of this occasion.
If you love QED Cooks and you've come to watch it, so often, you are going to want to have this memento. You are going to want to make sure that this cookbook is yours just by calling and pledging your support to WQED. You see the levels on the screen. It's a $5 a month sustaining membership or a $60 one-time only gift. Your pledge of support has made not only QED Cooks possible, but so many of the other shows that we air here on WQED. Don't forget, in the cookbook will be all of the names of those folks who have been on the show. 700, Chris.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's absolutely amazing.
And as a matter of fact, if a person was on more than once, their name appears more than once because it's a chronological listing. That collection of names is on the in the book, and so that's something you refer to. And my thanks go out to all of them and to all of you, watchers and supporters and cooks and all those folks. Thank you.
Absolutely, it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching today. We appreciate it.
Have a banana, Hannah. Try the salami, Tommy. Give with the gravy, Davy. Everybody eats when they come to my house. Try a tomato plate too. Here's cacciatore, Dory. Taste the bologna, Tony. Everybody eats when they come to my house. I fix your favorite dishes, hoping this good food fills ya. Work my hands to the bone in the kitchen alone. You better eat if it kills ya. Pass me a pancake, Mandrake.